Battle soldiers from heaven, fearless warriors who jump and die, straightforward men who wear green berets. The lyrics of the song about the American Special Operations Forces, popularly called the Green Berets, begin with these words. This soundtrack became an international hit in the late 1960s, and it perfectly demonstrates the essence, power and courage of this branch of troops. A long history, even longer training, and the ability to rely solely on ourselves made these fighters one of the most elite commandos in the ranks of the US Army. In this program, we will tell you who the American SOF are. Why is even the Ku Klux Klan afraid of them? Why is the beret green? Why is their service so special? And why was it necessary to create Green Berets at all, if there are already enough special agencies in the United States? World War II showed the world that traditional methods of warfare do not always lead to victory. This was especially true for battles where the opponent had more people and equipment. This is how units began to emerge that performed clandestine tasks. The era of espionage has begun. World War II winners knew the war's end was the start of a new conflict. In 1946, the CIA was established, leading to the creation of other special agencies in the US. Highly specialized, let's say, SEAL, Delta, they all performed well in the Korean War in the 1950s. But the confrontation between the two Koreas is far from the only conflict on the globe in which the United States was interested. Another confrontation was opened in the region of Southeast Asia, Vietnam. Moreover, the Soviet Union was interfering in other countries' affairs. The United States tried to fight back and started a confrontation with the Soviets somewhere on the periphery, such as Vietnam. Despite no open conflict, the Pentagon didn't dismiss the possibility of one between Moscow and Washington.
Special Operations Forces aim to conduct non-traditional warfare methods in battle. Such units could be used in Europe in the event of a boggling by Russia. In the 1950s it was a very real load.
The Green Berets first saw combat in the Vietnam War. There, the commandos had several tasks. Training locals is essential. They did everything for them. They taught them how to use the latest weapons, taught combat tactics, and prepared them for sabotage operations. 30 places were divided into about 200 camps across the country. At the same time, the Green Berets supplied the Vietnamese with equipment and provisions. Despite the fact that their role in that war can be called rather supervision, because most of the fighters were instructors, some guys were part of special units that were responsible for finding imprisoned allies and Americans. Accordingly, various rescue operations were planned. In fact, Vietnam has formed the Green Berets. The peculiarity of the terrain helped to harden the fighters, who can independently perform such tasks for which several hundred soldiers are usually sent.
The SOF is also a cost-effective use of force. Why send an entire battalion on a mission when you can use a small unit of 12 people? Moreover, no one will have any questions if only 12 people disappear from sight. This won't work with the battalion. They are put on a plane and sent on a mission.
One of the most significant Green Beret operations in the Vietnam War was the raid on Son Tay prison in the 1970s. It was a large-scale penitentiary facility where prisoners, including foreigners and Americans, were usually thrown. Son Tay was the most secure prison in North Vietnam. This is unsurprising as communists extracted information from captured foreigners. Missile defense systems and thousands of soldiers are placed around the perimeter. To save more than 60 American prisoners, a group of Green Berets was selected, who developed an evacuation plan for a month, trained for 16 hours a day. And in the end, Son Tay managed to capture. Victory was possible due to both their shooting skills and resilience, and the intellectual preparation for the mission. They simply managed to outsmart the Vietnamese. They pretended to be their own.
Special Operations Forces often work with other units of the US Army. People who perform such specific missions know foreign languages and know how to navigate the area. This means that when our military is sent to a country on missions, they will know the language, traditions, culture, and area, even social norms that are established in a particular country.
A bit of history. The first fighters began to be recruited into the ranks of the Special Operations Forces in 1951. Colonel Aaron Bank was responsible for creating the new department. He is considered the founding father of the Green Berets. A serious man who knew well what commandos should be like to perform sabotage tasks. He worked in the French resistance in the 40s. So, in the newly minted unit, he recruited those fighters who were not accepted into the regular army. Historians describe the first fighters as stocky, fearless men who loved to break away. They were really stocky warriors, but the physical component did not yet guarantee 100% acceptance to the Green Berets. Intelligence is the main key to success. The ability to think creatively and solve problems outside the box has always prevailed over brute force. As time will tell, it is intelligence and the desire to learn that will become one of the main selection criteria for future Green Berets.
I was still a student, studying in North Carolina. It was 1965, and I witnessed a demonstration of the Ku Klux Klan. They were marching in front of the courthouse, and on the other side of the road stood a very tall black man, in uniform with a green beret on his head. He stands watching the march as demonstrators look at him and walk by. The Green Beret didn't even move. That's, I thought, wow.
Speaking of the Green Beret, the Special Operations Forces were created without their own uniform. Initially, they were similar to regular military personnel. However, the leadership decided that such a special unit required a special uniform. At least, a beret. It should be unique and different from all other military headgear in the country. This is how the Green Beret idea emerged. Its history is actually complicated, because it was banned several times, then returned, and in the late 1950s, SOF fighters even ordered to get rid of it, so they had to secretly wear their beret. But the beret finally returned in the 1960s thanks to the country's 35th president, John F. Kennedy. He is called a great friend of the American Special Forces. He was one of those who supported the Special Forces and advocated that these warriors should stand out. According to him, unique warriors have a unique beret.
The Green Beret is a symbol of perfection, a sign of courage, a symbol of distinction in the struggle for freedom.
Green Berets even have a unique patch, a sword pierced with 3 lightning bolts. The sword's tip symbolizes indigenous peoples in battles assisting the SOF. The sword itself symbolizes the weapons with which the fighters go to the enemy, as well as lightning, each of which denotes the elements, water, earth and air, the places where Green Berets operate.